Told you so. I told you so. The media is not going to stop harping on the Joker, finding fault with this movie. Every possible reason they can find to attack this movie, they're taking. Even if some of those thoughts are ridiculous. Some of them are serious. Some of them, people have put a great deal of thought into, and some of them are ridiculous. So this is coming from the Mary Sue, and this is one of two articles I want to cover. One of them, again, this one is almost, I mean, it's not laughable, but it is. I don't want to make light of people's issues, but the fact that this is what their takeaway is from the Joker is pretty laughable. And the other one's a little more serious, talking about whiteness and privilege in the Joker in the New York Times. So before we get into the video, just a reminder, this is Neon, this is Clownfish TV. We're hoping that you subbed our channel, you like our content, our commentary on pop culture. We hit 66,000 subs, I think, this week. We're hoping for 100,000 soon. Want to get found in that Google algorithm, guys, so give us a sub or a like. It definitely does help, especially as YouTube keeps changing things almost monthly, mostly to filter out smaller channels, independent channels, in favor of big media, which sucks because people go to YouTube for different views, and they're not given the opportunity to be seen, because YouTube now seems to want to favor all the media outlets that already control everything. So give us a sub, definitely helps. This is coming from the Mary Sue. We're going to talk about this one first, and then we'll talk about the Times article. Joaquin Phoenix's comments about his Joker weight loss are deeply problematic. Deeply problematic. The Joker is too skinny. The Joker has an eating disorder. I'm not kidding. Like, I thought this was an Onion article at first, and so let's just backtrack here. So the original thought with the Joker, the original method of attack with the Joker was the Joker is going to incite violence. It's going to give incels an idea to go commit horrible acts of crime because the Joker's white and they're white. I think that's what the thought process was. Opening weekend came and went, didn't happen, but what did happen was the Joker made a shit ton more money than anybody had predicted. It made almost $100 million at the box office. People were shooting for about 75 to 80 million. It made $96 million. And it had a huge Tuesday too. I think Geeky was telling me it did something like 16 or 19 million on Tuesday. The movie's a huge hit. So the media's attempts to dissuade people from going to see it didn't work. And I'm sorry, you can't tell me that $100 million box office, it was just a bunch of neckbeards going to see this movie. Right? A lot of people went to go see this movie and they enjoyed it. It's actually gotten really rave audience scores. People are saying it's phenomenal. So they tried attacking it that way, didn't work. So then they came back again with, oh, it has the Hey song, the Gary Glitter song in it. Did you know? Gary Glitter went to prison for impure thoughts and deeds regarding underage persons. And if you go see this movie, you might be putting money in Gary Glitter's pocket. We don't know for sure that that's what's happening, because I read a CNN article yesterday or the day before where they said you might possibly maybe be giving Gary Glitter money. We don't know for sure if Gary Glitter gets royalties off of Rock and Roll Part 2. But if you go see this movie, you might be giving him money, and he's not a good person. So don't go see the movie. It's like, okay, that's kind of a stretch, because that song, the Hey song, Rock and Roll Part 2, is played at virtually every sporting event, or was until people complained about it. So I guess it hasn't been played at a lot of events for a couple of years now. I didn't even know there was any controversy around it. I'm just like, oh, I know that song. It's the Hey song. They play it everywhere. Even high school sports games, they play it. So that was round 2. Now, the next round, the next wave of nitpicking is coming. And now it's, the Joker is going to make you anorexic. The Joker is going to make you anorexic. The Joker is going to give you an eating disorder. This is unhealthy. This is unhealthy. The Joker is too skinny. He's not thick enough. As the Joker press tour continues, director Todd Phillips rants about woke culture killing comedy as proving to be just one of this movie's off-screen controversies. There are so many. It's hard to believe this movie has only been out in a wide release for less than a week. There are so many because the media keeps making them. 10 years ago, none of this would have been controversial. The latest tidbit from the press tour centers on Joaquin Phoenix and his preparation for the role, mainly how it required him to lose a great deal of weight, which he speaks about in an incredibly harmful way. Joaquin Phoenix told IndieWire that losing so much weight was empowering because you're able to control yourself in that way. He also described joyously sending Phillips a photo of himself when he reached his target weight, saying, "I couldn't believe I finally made it. If this sounds like an eating disorder to you, you're not alone. Joker wants you to be too skinny incels." In another interview, Phoenix said, "Once you reach a target weight, everything changes. Like, so much of what's difficult is waking up every day and being obsessed over 0.3 pounds, right? And you really develop a disorder. I mean, it's wild." But I think the interesting thing for me is what I had expected and anticipated with the weight loss was these feelings of dissatisfaction, hunger, a certain kind of vulnerability and weakness. What I didn't anticipate was this feeling of kind of fluidity that I felt physically. I felt like I could move my body in ways I hadn't been able to before, and I think that it really lent itself to some part of the physical movement that started to emerge as an important part of the character. Can you see the Joker dancing down the stairs and being 50 pounds overweight? Could you see Jack Nicholson's Joker dancing down the steps like that? I don't think so. And I'm not advocating for anybody to go on a crash diet or anything like that, but this is part of the character. The Joker, historically, has always been tall and thin. He always has been, going back to, the comic books back in the day. Eating disorders are not an art form. Extreme weight change is something that's celebrated in film to the point where it's become an Oscar bait trope. An Oscar bait trope, but no one, including Phoenix, should be getting praise for losing so much weight that he himself calls it a disorder. His description of finding empowerment in this sort of control will likely sound familiar to anyone who struggled with an eating disorder. What he's describing is incredibly unhealthy, and can even for far too many people be deadly. It isn't something to be glorified by Hollywood, which already gives the world an unhealthy body image when it comes to how people, especially women, should look. But this is a white incel. This is a white incel. It doesn't matter if he's unhealthy. Why are you upset about this? The Hollywood glorification of unhealthy body practices is so trope as to be laughable, but we're not laughing. We're not laughing. We have to stop celebrating people for damaging their bodies for some imagined cinematic excellence, literally a talking point to prove dedication to a craft. And beyond that, we should absolutely not celebrate the literal symptoms of the most fatal mental disorder in existence. They're right. Hollywood is so wrapped up in celebrating unhealthy body standards that men losing weight for the sake of their art is awards worthy. But eating disorders affect nearly 30 million Americans. Phoenix and Hollywood should think before they speak. How dare you, Joaquin Phoenix, lose weight to look more like your character? I don't think Joaquin Phoenix was advocating that anybody lose massive amounts of weight the way that he has. But actors shed pounds, gain pounds, go through incredible physical transformations to become the characters they want to portray. This is not something that a normal person working a 9-to-5 job does. And I agree, eating disorders are terrible. I think it's a terrible thing. I think that they are taken too lightly. But this is really a reach to start criticizing Joaquin Phoenix for losing weight to look like his character. I mean, this is nuts that there were like 3 or 4 news outlets that were covering this. This is crazy. They're really reaching. Now, this one, is a little more serious. This is coming from the New York Times. The real threat of Joker is hiding in plain sight. And this is, I was waiting for this one. I've been waiting for this one because I knew this was going to come up. What the film wants to say about mental illness or class division in society is not as interesting as what it accidentally says about whiteness. Now, Lawrence Ware, I did check, he is a black man, so he is going to have a different perspective on this than a white journalist is going to have, I believe. But the whole article is basically saying that if the Joker was a black guy instead of a white guy, he would be completely ignored. Now, he does admit this was not the filmmaker's intention. This was not Todd Phillips' intention, but he does call out that the Joker had a sense of entitlement. You know, he says, what struck me most is that what the film wants to say about mental illness or class division in American society is not as interesting as what it says about being white, for it is essentially a depiction of what happens when white supremacy is left unchecked. All right, so look, I will give you having a different opinion, a different take on the movie, depending on your background, right? I absolutely will, but immediately they're throwing white. What we've jumped from maybe you know, this movie would have been different if it had a black character versus a white character. We've jumped from that to white supremacy. The takeaway is this movie is about white men wanting what they want, getting what they want, and people dying because of that. That's my takeaway, right? There are other ways that whiteness informs Fleck's character. He anticipates he'll be treated as a son by the Wayne family and assumes he'll be given medical records just by asking the hospital orderly. The privileges that come with Fleck's race set him up for these unrealistic expectations. When they're not met, the consequences are deadly. Whiteness may not have been on the filmmaker's mind when they made the Joker, but it is the hidden accomplice that fosters the violence on screen. So the takeaway is, white men are bad? I don't know. I'm really beginning to think that these news outlets, because the Joker is hot right now, it's the biggest movie in the country, they're really reaching and sort of attaching themselves to this movie and inserting meaning to it, meaning into it where there is none. I do not think that that was ever Todd Phillips' intention, to show the Joker as being a privileged white man. I don't think that. You know, and again, you look at Joaquin Phoenix, who, you know, you just look at Joaquin Phoenix, his political beliefs, his personal beliefs. This is not a guy who's in any way, you know, I would consider an alt-right troll or an incel. So there is a lot of discussion about this movie. Basically, at the end of the day, the vibe I'm getting from it is that the media is just absolutely ass mad that this movie made a lot of money. And on some weird level, I think they're kind of a little disappointed that there weren't more incidents around the movie. I mean, that's really my takeaway, is that a lot of the far left media is upset that the Joker made as much money as it did. You know, they thought that this movie was going to incite violence. It did not. So now we have to henpeck this film between now and its second weekend to make sure people know that they're supporting an awful movie. Well, you went to go see it once. Don't go see it twice. Don't go see it at the Dollar Theater, because you're look at all the bad things you're supporting with the Joker. You're supporting incels. You're supporting white privilege. You're supporting eating disorders, and you're supporting Gary freaking Glitter. Those are 4 reasons you shouldn't go see the Joker. If you have any moral fiber at all, you won't go see the Joker, because if you go see the Joker, you're an accomplice to all of these horrible, horrible things. And I know immediately all of you are going to go see the Joker again. If you know, I know you are. But yeah, this is nuts. And I told you, this is going to be the next Alita. But it's actually worse because the Joker was a much bigger box office hit than Alita, and it is a much bigger threat to the media, which has gone out of its way to attack the movie since day one, pretty much. So I'm gonna wrap this one up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants here on Clownfish TV. We'll talk later. Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.